Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. So reading Bhagavad Gita as it is, 18th chapter, which is the conclusion, the perfection of renunciation. Text 61, please repeat. Sabhutanam Kriteshe Arjuna Tistati Brahmayan Sabhabhutani Yantra Arudhani Mayaya Ishvara Sabhabhutanam Videshe Arjuna Tistati Ramayan Sarvabhutani Yantarudhani Mayaya Ishvara, the Supreme Lord, Sarvabhutanam, of all living entities, Hrideshe, in the location of the heart, Arjuna, O Arjuna, Tistati, resides, Brahmayan, causing to travel, Sarvabhutani, all living entities, Yantra, on a machine, Arudhani, being placed, Mayaya, under the spell of the material energy. Translation and purport by Srila Prabhupada. The Supreme Lord is situated in everyone's heart, O Arjuna, and is directing the wanderings of all living entities who are seated as on a machine made of the material energy. Please repeat. The Supreme Lord is situated in everyone's heart.
Supreme Lord is situated in everyone's heart,
O Arjuna,
and
is directing the wanderings of all living entities who are seated as on a machine made of the material energy. Purport by Srila Prabhupada. Arjuna was not the supreme knower. In his decision to fight, or not to fight was confined to his limited material discretion. Lord Krishna instructed that the individual, the Atma, is not all and all. The Supreme Personality of Godhead, or He Himself, Krishna, as the localized Supersoul, sits in the heart, directing the living being. After changing bodies, the living entity forgets his past deeds, but the Supersoul, as the knower of the past, the present, and the future, remains the witness of all of his thoughts and activities. Therefore, all the activities of the living entities are directed by the Supersoul. The living entity gets what he deserves and is carried by the material body, which is created in the material energy under the direction of the Supersoul. As soon as the living entity is placed in a particular type of body, he has to work under the spell of that bodily situation. A person seated in a high-speed motor car goes faster than one seated in a slower car, though the living entities, the drivers, may be the same. Similarly, by the order of the Supreme Soul, material nature fashions a particular type of body for a particular type of living entity so that he may work according to his past desires. The living entity is not independent. One should not think himself independent of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. The individual is always under the Lord's control. Therefore, one's duty is to surrender, and that is the injunction of the next verse. We can maybe look at that after. Om Jnana Tamaranda Shakananjana Shalakaya Chakshumlitam Janatasma Srila Prabhupada, Srila Gurudev. Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Shivasari Shri Gaura Bhaktivinoda Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Ishvara Sava Bhutanam, Riddeshe Vajuna Tishtati, Brahmayan Sava Bhutani, Yanta Rudhani Mayaya. Again, translation. The Supreme Lord is situated in everyone's heart, O Arjuna, and is directing the wanderings of all living entities who are seated as on a machine made of the material energy. It is said that not a blade of grass moves without the will of the Lord. So everything is Krishna's energy, external, internal, superior, inferior. All of that energy is ultimately controlled by Krishna. So according to one's desire, one is getting a particular type of body and bodily situation so that we can enjoy or suffer according to past deeds, sinful activities or pious activities. So whatever we're suffering in this life is because of previous life, and our karma means you'll have so much happiness and you'll have so much suffering. And that's preordained from previous lifetime, and we can't remember what we did in the last life, but we can see by our bodily situation, good or bad, how much piety we had and perhaps how much sinful activities we must have performed. So if we are suffering in this life and we have very disturbed mind and we have very, sick body, this is a bad karma. This is sinful reaction. And so this is what we deserved because of past sinful activities. So Prabhupada explains if you're very sick, you're very disturbed, your body, your mind is always sick, disturbed, or you're very ugly, very foolish, not too good, like intelligence, right? This, or very poverty-stricken. This is all a sinful reaction from previous lifetime. So Krishna is the witness. He knows past, present, and future, and he's ultimately the judge, and he's fulfilling the desires of the living entity. And it says that if one wants to surrender to Krishna, Krishna says, I'll give you intelligence, how to do that, how to come to me. If you want to forget me, then I'll give you a nice big false ego, then you can forget the reality, spiritual reality, and in your dreamlike state, your illusion, you can try to enjoy separate from Krishna, separate from me, Krishna says. Then I'll give you intelligence and strength how to engage in Maya. So all intelligence and all strength, whether spiritually or materially, that's coming from the Supersoul. Now Krishna may, if you surrender to Krishna and you want to hear Krishna, then Krishna will directly speak to you. He says, I'll give you intelligence inside, outside, to the Shastra. But if you don't want to surrender to me, you want to misuse your minute independence, you want to forget me, then I'll make you forget me. Then it says, then you come directly under the control of Maya. And then Maya, who's Krishna's servant, gives us thoughts, desires, plans, emotions, feelings on false ego platform. So that's Krishna doing, but he's doing through the agency of Maya. And so according to the desire, Prabhupada said the only thing a soul can do is desire. So if we desire properly, that we agree, we want to cooperate with Krishna. Prabhupada said you can be Krishna conscious in one moment if you'll just agree to cooperate with Krishna. But because we're not agreeing, then Krishna says, okay, then now you'll come under Maya's control. So all of this mental speculation, addiction to mental speculation, means attached and addicted to hearing from Maya. Because Maya is giving the thoughts, giving the feelings, giving the emotion, giving the plans, all of that intelligence and even the strength ultimately is coming from Krishna, but through the agency of Maya. So if you want to surrender and give pleasure to Krishna, enjoy in Krishna's association, then Krishna will give you spiritual intelligence on soul platform. And he'll give you spiritual strength by which you can come to him and serve him accordingly. If we don't want that, if that's not really our desire, we cannot cheat Krishna. He's a perfect witness, perfect judge. He really knows. We can say from the lips one thing, but Krishna knows really what is our desire and what is the strength of our desire, whether spiritual or material. He's ultimate judge. So if Krishna sees actually this person saying they want me, saying that they want to be devotee, but practically they're maintaining their material thoughts, material desires, material attachments, means they're not really serious. So then Krishna hands you over to Maya, and then Maya gives you your so-called intelligence. And Maya gives you your so-called strength or energy. And then Maya creates a field of activities. So we can have intelligence, a spiritual intelligence and spiritual strength in a spiritual sphere of activity, or we can have Maya guiding the so-called intelligence and emotion and feeling, and just creates an artificial, perverted reflection of the reality, which is the material world. So the only thing the soul can do is desire. And depending on how we're using that desire and our association and hearing from Krishna's devotees, then we can increase our spiritual desire. If we do asatsanga and always associating materialistically, that will just create material desires and stronger material desire. So anyway, the intelligence, strength, and field of activities, that's all Krishna's energy, and Krishna's the controller of his energies. It's just that we're going to work under the superior energy, the internal spiritual potency of the Lord, or are we going to work under Krishna in the form of Mama Maya, in the form of his external, inferior, temporary, material energy. Either way, Krishna's controlling his energies, and it's just simply based on our desire. So when Arjuna, because he's not supreme knower, Prabhupada says, his decision to fight or not to fight is confined by his limited material discretion. So when we're deciding to do something or not do something, we're just basically going to Maya. Material discretion means that you're going to Maya and saying, Maya, do you think I should do this or not? And Maya says, maybe not. It'll be a problem, it'll be difficult, you may lose something, it won't be fun. And we're like, yeah, that sounds about right. And then we're misguided. So if we are not understanding how to hear from Krishna on transcendental soul platform, then automatically we're hearing from Maya and the false ego, material pride platform. And all of that information is coming from Maya, but we're taking it as very significant, very important, very helpful, very much will put us in a better place. But actually it has an opposite effect. So everybody's surrendering, everybody's hearing, but who are we surrendering to, and what are we hearing? And what is the basis? Who's the source behind that hearing? Is it Krishna or is it Maya? Who's guiding our intelligence? Is it Krishna or is it Maya? And that depends on our desire. If we want Krishna, Krishna will guide control your intelligence, direct your intelligence, a super soul. And if you want Maya, then Krishna through Maya, super soul through the material energy, will then take control of your thoughts, your mind, your senses, your feelings, your emotions. And Prabhupada says that material conditional life means addicted to mental speculation. So that means almost always in the bodily concept of life, we are simply listening, surrendered and listening to Maya. Almost every single moment. You could say constantly. Addiction means constantly. And so if we cannot hear from Krishna, Krishna Parampara, and Shastra, then automatically that means we're hearing from Maya. Krishna says, touch Trinu, hear from me. If you can't hear from me, because you're bewildered by your false ego and listening to Maya, you're lost. So if we're not getting, we should be smart enough. Is my intelligence, my plan, my guidance, is it coming from Krishna, ultimately, or is it coming from Maya? And then how much faith? That's why sometimes devotees, they have so much strong desire and plan. And I can see that. And then I just always ask them, okay, I know you're thinking like this and you have your plan and you feel very strongly about that. And really almost you already made up your mind. But I always ask them, well, who's the source of that plan? Is that plan coming from Krishna? Or is that plan coming from Maya? Then they get nervous. They're like, whoa, I didn't think about that. So then they get shaky. You see? They can't be steady in their conviction Because you cannot, we read yesterday, you can't be steady in your conviction unless Krishna convinces your soul what is to be done, what is not to be done. If we cannot hear Krishna, that means false ego platform, that means directed by Maya, all your thoughts, all your feelings, all your emotions, those are the sitting places of Maya. Therefore, we cannot be steady in our determination, because ultimately the whole thing is coming from Maya. So then when you say, okay, you feel really strong about your plan, yes. You thought it out, yes. You feel good about it, yes. You're almost already going to do it anyway, right? Yes. Okay. Who gave you that intelligence? Did it come from Krishna or did it come from Maya? And then they become bewildered. They become shaky. They become unsteady because they know Krishna didn't convince your soul. Maya just put it on your intellectual, mental, philosophical, sentimental, bodily, emotion, feeling, paints a pretty picture of how much you're going to have a peaceful, happy, enjoying life. And we buy into it again and again and again and again. And we're cheated again and again and again and again. Because Krishna says you're not able to hear me. Basically, it means you're hearing Maya, then you'll be lost. So all of the intelligence and strength is ultimately coming from the Super Soul. And Krishna says, I'm in the heart of every living entity, and from me comes knowledge and intelligence and strength, remembrance or forgetfulness, based on desire and strength of desire. So if we associate with materialistic people, we'll hear materialistic topics and we'll become attached, we'll like the idea, we'll come up with a materialistic plan. Then now we want to forget about Krishna. So Krishna says, okay, now I'll make you forget about me. Now you have material desires, material plans. So all those desires, all those plans, all of that coming from Maya. Krishna arranges that according to your desire. If we say, no, I don't want to be misguided, I don't want to be servant of Maya, it always ends in a disaster. The plan never works out as promised. Krishna, I really need to know 100%. Then Krishna will give you steady conviction and intelligence from soul platform. And he'll give you spiritual strength and understanding how to execute that. So everything is based on desire. Prabhupada said that Supreme Lord Krishna, he's localized Super Soul. He's sitting in the heart of every living entity, and he's just directing that living entity either directly, as in the case of Arjuna, or indirectly through Maya, for those who want to forget Krishna or try to enjoy separate from Krishna. So Krishna knows past, present, and the future, and he knows all of our thoughts and our desires. If we are not picking sadhu sangha, satsanga, and hearing about Krishna, then we're picking our satsanga and we're hearing about Maya. And that basically puts material thoughts, material desires, material plans, how to enjoy sinfully, separate from Krishna. If we associate with sadhus, gurus, Vaishnavas, preachers, those who are speaking Krishna's instructions, then that association hopefully will increase our spiritual desire. So if everything's based on desire, what influences the desire is association, whether spiritual or material. And then that association means either spiritual sound, transcendental topic, or material sound and materialistic topic. And that will determine ultimately what is our desire and what is the strength of that desire. whether spiritually or materially. Prabhupada says the living entity gets exactly what they deserve. So whatever we're getting, that's exactly what we deserve. Krishna says, as you surrender, I reward you. As you're surrendering, I reveal myself to you. As we desire, Krishna is fulfilling those desires, whether spiritual or material. Now sometimes devotees, because of false ego and pride, we think we're much more advanced and much more well situated than we actually are, because we're blind. Pride makes you blind. We're not the best judge of our own character. We think I'm special, I'm nice, I'm devotee, I'm surrendered, I love people, right? We're like, okay, not a saint, but kind of close, right? So we're not the best judge of ourselves. And then we have to see, okay, are my results that I'm getting, it doesn't seem to match up with how saintly and surrendered I am. So is Krishna like, is he not good at math or something like that? Because there's a problem, because I'm so surrendered, I'm so sincere, I'm so much devotee, then why are the results not matching? Why doesn't that make us question? Maybe I'm not, because it says you're getting exactly what you deserve. But if we think we deserve a lot more because of our high impression of ourselves, and then we're not getting it, it will create a serious doubt in you. You'll be like, this doesn't seem to work, because I don't feel the reciprocation, the inspiration, the higher taste, and I'm killing myself. There's nothing, practically nothing more I can do. So you'll be bewildered, you'll get disappointed, and you'll get shaky in your faith in Krishna, in the Guru, in the process of bhakti, because the results are not matching up with this. We have a false expectation because we don't have a proper understanding of our actual adhikar, or our actual qualification. Now, if we could see and understand that very accurately, we don't need a guru. We'd be our own guru with perfect intelligence and vision, and we would do what is required. But we cannot see, because of the false ego and because of pride. We're blind, especially to our own faults. We talked the other day about being introspective and having a scientific, objective, honest measurement of ourselves and our position in relationship to pure devotees, premi bhaktas. What is Krishna asking us to do? When we read Bhagavad Gita first, you said, wow, is there anyone who can follow all those instructions? Because all of us, who came, we have some type of spiritual interest. We're trying to practice something, otherwise how we can. But when you read Prabhupada's, Krishna's instructions, then you think, wow, is there anybody on this planet who can actually surrender like that? They must be very, very serious devotees. So we're supposed to be measuring ourselves against how well are we understanding and following Krishna's instructions. We're supposed to be measuring ourselves against actual, really devotees. Prabhupada in many, many places is talking about actual devotee. And like really devotee, like pure devotee. So we're supposed to be, but we're not able to calculate properly because the false ego and the pride is not allowing us to get an accurate calibration of the reality of our consciousness, position, standing. So this is a problem. And then Bhaktivinoda Thakur says, now if you have such high impression of yourself, and you have such a, you'll have a very big expectation. You'll have a false expectation. Because really we don't deserve it. But in our estimation, we think we deserve it. That's where the confusion comes in. So when devotees said, oh yes, I'm nicely situated, there's nothing more I can do, I've already understood so much. Okay, you can think like that, but my question is, are you satisfied with your results? My Gurudev used to say, are you seeing Krishna? I mean, you talk about the ultimate question of what reciprocation do you think you're getting? So really surrendered devotee, they can directly see and hear and understand Krishna. So if we're not like that, that means we're falling short. It means we have some serious work to do. We should not think, oh, I'm nicely situated, I am understanding. Yes, I am knowing everything. It's just the pride. So this pride, false ego, arrogance, conceited nature, having high opinion about ourselves, this is a demoniac quality. It's not saintly, godly quality. So if we're demoniac qualities, demoniac consciousness, with demoniac motivation, how are we going to properly estimate and get a proper understanding of what platform we're really on? That's why Prabhupada said everyone in the mature world who's addicted to mental speculation under false ego, under modes of material nature, they're insane. If all we're doing is listening to Maya, and we're not at all conscious of our soul or listening to Krishna, that's called insanity. Prabhupada said everyone, the mature world, the mature consciousness, more or less everybody's insane. Because they're not acting according to who they really are. You're acting according to what Maya's telling you you are. And then Prabhupada said everyone in the mature world is more or less a demon. You don't come to the prison house because we're perfect gentlemen and saintly, godly characters. We're in the prison house for a reason. Right? Prabhupada says here that Krishna, he knows past, present, and future, and according to the witness and the judge from the last life, he decided to throw us in the slammer. They shut the door, right, of the jail cell. So, we're getting exactly what we deserve. And then we're like, oh, it's not fair. I'm a victim. It's everybody else's fault. My father, my mother, my environment, how I was raised, where I grew up, the society, right, the circumstances. I'm just a victim. I had nothing to do with it. Right? We're listening to Maya, making all the wrong decisions, putting ourselves in trouble again and again and again, and then when we're finally suffering those results, we start looking externally like, who can I blame for this situation? Because it's not us, because we're like almost perfect, and sincere, and surrendered, and intelligent, and simple, and wise, and great. So it's not us why I'm suffering this result. So okay, let me look around externally, whose fault is this? Then we just go on our fault-finding mentality and we just try to line everything and everyone up give us a nice excuse why nothing went well and why we're in a suffering condition. And then we hold resentment against these people for the whole life, just lamenting and blaming and acting like a victim and taking no responsibility for why we are put into such a hellish suffering condition. We did this to ourselves. There's no mistake. Prabhupada said, you are getting exactly what you deserve, and Krishna is the ultimate judge. And he said, based on what you did previously, this is the situation you're going to be born into. This family, this place, this condition, this time of the Kali Yuga. You have this kind of intelligence, this type of disturbance, this type of mind, this type of body. Because that's what you deserve. Sometimes you get a really, really good body. And sometimes you get a really, really bad body. So bad body, bad mind, means suffering condition. That means sinful reaction. Who's to blame for that? Oh, my family, my father, my wife, my the school I went to, the town I came from, the people I went to school with, they used to beat me up. Right? Adam's like this all the time. He's like, everyone used to beat up Adam. Can you believe anyone would want to beat up Adam? Bombs in Ireland, right? Why are you born in a war zone, man? Huh?
Oh my God.
Why are you born in a war zone? No peace. Why is everyone blowing up around you? No wonder you're in anxiety, man. How are you put in that situation? Angel, how you got born in Puerto Rico? Huh? That's like Devil's Island. Right? You put out on it's like a prison somewhere out. They're so dangerous you have to put a lot of water between them and the rest of civilization. Somehow Angel put some coconuts together and he just swam. He's gonna bless America. He landed.
Coconuts together.
And they said, who are you? What are you? What planet did you come from? I'm Angel. I'm an angel. I'm just trying to make you smile, that's all, Angel. At least you're smiling now. Before you were growling like a pit bull. So now the pit bull is smiling. Yes. Before he attacks the next person. So anyway, whatever body we're in, and no matter how much we're happy or suffering, we're getting exactly what we deserve. And we can't digest that because we're so prone and programmed to feel ourselves victims. And because we have such fault-finding mentality, we can find enough people to blame. So we're expert at finding the people to blame. We certainly don't want to take responsibility for ourselves. And we're playing the victim card. Everybody's a victim. That's the problem. And then people, Prabhupada says, then the problem is, then when you realize you're suffering, then everybody's blaming God. If there's a loving God, right, why will He make me suffer like that? Why will some children or other people, why will they be punished? Why will they get heavy reaction? Why will they die? Right? But we don't know what those persons did in the last life. You just look at this innocent little child, right? What could we say, right? What can that little child have done to deserve that? Because they don't understand in reincarnation, they don't understand in previous life, they don't understand the laws of karma, they don't understand that whatever we're getting, happiness or suffering in this life, is a result of previous lives, thoughts, and activities. So we forget all of that, but Krishna doesn't forget all of that. Prabhupada says, after changing the bodies, the living entity forgets his past deeds. But the Super Soul, the Lord of the heart, he knows the past and the present, and he knows your future as well. He remains the witness of all of our thoughts and all of our activities. Therefore, all of the activities of the living entities are directed by the Super Soul. So, okay, you want to forget me? Okay, now you forget me. You want to try to enjoy separate from me? In Maya? Okay, here's the intelligence and strength, and here's a field of activities where you can try to enjoy separate from me. Okay, that doesn't work, you're suffering, you're fed up, now you want to surrender to Krishna? Krishna says, okay, now I'll give you spiritual intelligence, Super Soul, Paramatma, and I'll give you spiritual strength, and I'll give you spiritual activities. So that intelligence, strength, and activities, whether spiritual or material, is being directed by the Super Soul within the heart. The living entity gets exactly what they deserve, and then is carried by the particular type of body that you have. As soon as the living entity, Prabhupada says, is placed in that particular body, with that kind of body, that kind of mind, that kind of family, that place in the world, right? He grows up in everyone's cars are blowing up all over the place, Northern Ireland, right? So you're born in that family, in that body, with that mind, with that psyche, with that emotional system, in that environment. That's due to previous karmic sinful activity. Why? Because it's an anxiety suffering condition. So if we're in complete anxiety and disturbed mentally and depressed, so much depression and anxiety, right? This is sinful reaction. And because we're identifying with it, we're continuing our suffering and anxiety under that particular condition. The living entity, Prabhupada says, is placed in a particular type of body, and then he has to work under the spell of that bodily situation. That's why Prabhupada says, trying to make the best use of the bad bargain. So being in the material body, in the material world, in the prison house, how do we make the best use of a bad bargain? You understand that? What that means? Right? It's not a good situation. Material body, material life, material consciousness means anxiety, suffering condition, threefold miseries are there. So the living entity, Prabhupada said, is not independent. We're thinking we're so independent. I can think whatever I want. I can choose to do whatever I want. I can make whatever plan that I want. We're thinking, Krishna says, under your false ego, you're thinking that you're doing all of that. But actually, Krishna says, I'm doing it. No, my body, my mind, my thoughts, my plan. No. Krishna says, all of that intelligence, all of those feelings, all of that emotion, all of that plan, all of those activities, all of that opportunity, Krishna says, I'm controlling it. And because you don't want to hear from me directly, then you listen to Maya. You be servant of Maya. Right? You don't. Krishna says, "You hear from me, I'll get you out of. Basically, I'll get you out of the mess you created for yourself." I'm paraphrasing, obviously. And then Krishna says, "But if you don't want to hear me, you can't hear me. You're not interested in hearing me because you have false ego. That means you're directed by Maya. You're lost and getting more lost." Yeah, but it's coming again and again and again. I'm getting confirmation. And I'm feeling it in my heart. I'm feeling it. I'm thinking it. I know. I know you're thinking it. I know you're feeling it. Nobody's debating that. The only question is, where's it coming from? Is it coming from Krishna? Or is it coming from Maya? That's the only question. So we're going to surrender somewhere, for sure. And we're going to hear something, for sure. Who are we hearing? And where will we surrender? That is our question. Now this is interesting because this is talking about listening to Super Soul. You were asking yesterday about Raganuga. This seems like a Raganuga, right? But actually it's interesting because Krishna is explaining all of this before he says, "Completely surrender to me." 1866, later he says, "Abandon everything, surrender to me." So as soon as Arjuna surrendered and wanted to get out of Maya, then immediately Krishna started to instruct him. Immediately, inside and outside. He started giving intelligence. This is how you have to do. This is where you went off. This is where you made a mistake. This is how to overcome your misunderstanding or your doubts. So Krishna is preaching right from the beginning, all the way up to how to get me, how to understand me, how to come back to me. So the individual, Prabhupada says, should never think that we are independent of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. One definition of Maya is anything that you see and think and hear which is disconnected from Krishna, that is Maya. So whatever you think, whatever you hear, whatever you're feeling that's separate from Krishna, Guru and Krishna, that's Maya. So if Krishna tells through my Guru what is my seva, and I'm thinking how to do my seva properly and sincerely for the pleasure of Guru and Krishna, that means mind, intelligence, senses working properly, because it's not independent of Krishna's instruction. If my Guru tells me, okay, you become preacher, you try to help the devotees, and I just say, well, I want to do farm, I want to do cow protection. Okay, cow protection is also absolutely perfect seva for the pleasure of Guru Krishna. It's just not my seva. That's why Krishna says, better you do your own seva, even if it's imperfect, than trying to do somebody else's seva perfectly. So if you're thinking of some devotional service, but that's not what Krishna asked you to do, then that's Maya, even though it appears to be devotional service. Right? So if your service is to, distribute books, and you're like, no, I want to be a cook. Okay, well, being a cook for the deities is also devotional service, but that's not my service. That's not what Krishna asked me to do. So if your intelligence, your mind, your feeling, your emotion is towards how to do your service in the best way possible that Krishna gave you through the Guru, then everything is lining up, then you should accept it. If it's telling something different, even it appears to be spiritual, that's Maya. So whatever is not directly coming from and connected to Krishna through the Guru and Shastra, that's Maya. You follow that point? So no one's saying don't think, nobody's saying don't have any feeling, emotion, activity. We're not rocks, we're persons. But how do you trust what you're thinking and what you're planning and what is your motivation? How do you judge that, whether it's spiritual or material, is based on what Krishna, what faith, intelligence, conviction of your soul that He give you. That's how you measure it. Otherwise you have nothing absolute to measure it with. Does that make sense? Does anyone have a question or point on any of this? Yeah? You have a microphone?
Hare Krishna Maharaj.
Haribol.
Thank you for reminding us very important instructions always. It's very relevant all the time.
It's what?
Very relevant.
Krishna's instructions are always relevant. Yeah.
And
that's why He's preaching to us. So who are you listening to? Who are you surrendered to? Who's the source of your plans?
That's why I need to ask, because I cannot say it's...
Who are you going to ask? Are you asking Krishna or are you asking Maya?
Krishna, but I also need more clear instruction, clear confirmation of what I should do.
You have to convince Krishna. Krishna is the witness, Krishna is the judge. We can say anything from our mouth. Oh yes, I want to know what Krishna wants me to do. Okay, if that's true, and we're prepared to hear it, we're prepared to try our best to execute it, then Krishna will be the judge of that. Then Krishna will tell us. So when I ask the devotee, well, what is Krishna telling you? If you're so sincere, and you're so surrendered, and you're willing to do anything for Krishna, so what is Krishna telling you? And then they're like, whoa, well, I don't know what Krishna's telling me. Well, if you're so sincere and serious, and you want to fully surrender to Krishna, why Krishna's not telling you? You're thinking you're meeting all the pre-requirements. You believe that. If that's true, why Krishna is not convincing you? 100% sure. Why is it not crystal clear? Why don't we have unflinching faith and conviction on the soul platform? If we're so sincere and surrendered and qualified, and there's a disconnect. So whose problem is that? Is it Krishna? Is it Guru? Is it the process of bhakti? You don't have to convince me. I'm not your judge. Nobody is anyone else's judge of your sincerity, your seriousness, your desire to surrender. That's not our business. Adam thinks it's his business to analyze that, but generally, that's not our business. So I always say, only two people have to be convinced. Ourselves and Krishna. If we are not really convinced, we will not be able to convince Krishna. So if Krishna is not telling us, and he's not reciprocating, and he's not giving us that firm faith and conviction on soul platform, maybe, perhaps, we're not so special after all. Maybe we haven't met the precondition or the prerequisite that we think we deserve. In our estimation, although we're blind because of pride, and the false ego means so much ignorance is there, but still we think, no, I'm intelligent, I can see, I can understand, I can analyze, I can measure. If that's true, then why the result doesn't match our impression of our self or our position? It's an interesting question, isn't it? Shouldn't we be asking that question? Are we not supposed to be thoughtful people? Should we just assume that it's all going on? Because you joined a religious institution, and then once you join, then they say, okay, you signed the oath of allegiance to the GBC. Now you're a bona fide card-carrying member. Now you're spiritual. Now you're spiritual. And whatever you think, and whatever you do, and whatever seva you do, you're a pure devotee. Krishna is definitely accepting it. And it's all spiritual. And there's nothing left to measure or calculate. No introspection is required. No thoughtfulness is there. This is foolishness. It's sentimentality. It's actually based on a misconception. Because we don't know any better. Until we hear it from Krishna and from Krishna's representative. Because they understand the subtlety of it. By their intelligence and by their experience. So you don't have to convince me. You have to convince Krishna. And if we convince Krishna, then Krishna will tell us. He already says that. Those who are sincere and serious and want to surrender and serve me in devotional service, I will give you intelligence and direction as to what to do, how to do. Do you have an appointment today? Do you have any other thing you have to do? Are you busy? I'll save this one for tomorrow. Then maybe you'll come back, you'll be like, wow, you know, what else was he going to say? I just put it out there and you're like, and then I took it back. So did you get your everything figured out?
I have to convince Krishna, but
What's
get the answer.
What's difficult about that? In other words, if you're sincere and serious and you want to fully surrender, then why Krishna not telling you? How do you answer that question? You think you're sincere, and I'm not the judge of your sincerity, but you think you're sincere, you think you're surrendered, you think you're nicely situated, more or less, right? So why Krishna not telling you? Why Krishna not reciprocating with you? Why Krishna not revealing himself to you, inside or outside? Why is that? Whose fault is that?
I think Krishna is guiding me to understand some of my problems, but I don't know how
He
to.
what? He
He's
doesn't
show-
understand your problems?
He's showing me, reminding
He's
me
showing
that
you.
clearly. I don't
The
know.
only problem we have, Prabhupada said, is you're not serious and sincere about surrendering to Krishna. That's the only problem we really have. Now, what is causing that is material desires, material attachments, mental speculation, addicted to mental speculation, false ego, many factors why. But the bottom line is, when we're not convinced, we don't have sufficient faith, and we're not convincing Krishna. That's the problem, ultimately. Well, if I can just understand, the psychophysical nature of my upbringing and what I maybe was in the last life, and how did I get here from there? Let me retrace. Where did I go wrong? That's where the lamentation always comes in, right? Why did I make that decision? Why did I do like this? How could I be so stupid? Then it's like, it's like painful. And Prabhupada says, everyone material consciousness, they're just always lamenting, morose, worrying about the past and why this happened and why did I do like this and how could I be so stupid and I had it and I lost it. I wanted it, I never got it. My plans never turned out the way I wanted. Why is it like this? Why is other people able to, fulfill their plans and desires? Why I'm not able to do it? I'm a nice person. I never hurt anybody. It's unfair. I'm a victim. Whose fault is this in my life? We're wasting way too much time psychoanalyzing in illusion. A bad dream. It has no basis in reality. Why we're wasting, burning so much energy on that which we cannot control. That's another type of foolishness. Prabhupada said those who are in the tamagun, like Shudra, they're always lamenting, self-pity and lamentation. This means a very low consciousness. It's not a good use of our energy, our thoughts, our intelligence to plan how to get out of it. It's like you're in a hellish situation and you're just lamenting how you got in there instead of figuring how you're going to get out of there. Right? Like you're lost in a cave or a forest or something, and then you're like, how did I end up getting lost? And why am I in this cave? And why am I in this forest? And this is just unbelievable situation I find myself in. How could I be so stupid, so foolish? Right? We should be thinking, okay, how do I get out of this mess? Isn't that a better use of energy and intelligence and thoughtfulness? Okay, whatever it is, definitely I made a blunder, repeated blunders. Okay, now this is the reality of the situation. This is what I've created for myself. This is what I'm getting because I deserved it. Now how do I make the best use of the bad bargain? How do you turn it around? Learn from it and chart a new plan, a new course. What do you think, Peter? Is that right?
I'm thinking that no, Hare Krishna.
He still wants to say something, but there's nothing else to say, you know.
I want to thank you. I want to thank you
Hare Krishna.
for your explanation. That's so clear, so lovely. And yes, I think that, as you say, we have not to stay in lamentation, but take the great opportunity, because the Acharyas, Srila Prabhupada, the Lord himself gave us the key to go out from this situation, the holy name.
How is it?
So he says, thank you for the clear presentation.
I got that part, yeah.
And then he says, Srila Prabhupada, Krishna have given the way to get out of this situation by holy name. Right?
So, yes, I want to say we should to stop with the other and chant the holy name with full faith that will help us to get the intelligence, the spiritual intelligence, and to get the right association. That everything will come.
What about the devotees who are chanting for so many long years, right?
Because as you said, if the hearing is not proper,
Yeah,
there's no result.
right.
So, as you...
So Prabhupada says try to chant, but give up the offenses.
Yes, yes.
Right.
And as you said a few days ago, following that offenses that is do not to be distracted in the chanting. If you follow that, you are following the other 9 too, no?
He says, if you don't be inattentive while you're chanting, then you're automatically following all the other, not breaking the other offenses.
And so, this is...
So you're saying that we have the solution is the chanting.
yes.
But Mahaprabhu says, unless Charnadapi Shanichena Turo Ivas Sahishtana Amanina Manadena Ketaniya Satahari.
Of course, that has to be there.
So just little qualification, right? Mahaprabhu says, in order to chant properly and to chant constantly, you have to be like more humble than the blade of grass lying on the street. You have to be more tolerant than the tree. And you have to be respectful to everybody and not demand any respect from yourself. Then you can chant properly and constantly. Now my question is, we say that for many years, this verse, right? So how are we alone gonna manifest Vaishnava qualities of humility, tolerance, and not demanding any respect if we have false ego? If we're on a bodily, mental, sentimental platform with limited faith and manifesting demoniac thoughts and qualities, how are you going to just one day just manifest genuine humility, tolerance, and not demanding any respect, which are actually the qualities of the pure soul. Because the soul by nature is godly. Every soul is a sadhu, the soul. But we have this stupid mind and the false ego and all the demoniac qualities and demoniac attachments and desires. So what is it going to take to constantly and properly chant? Can we bring ourselves to this state of genuine humility, tolerance, and not demanding any respect? How do you answer that? Let's see how good you are, Peter.
Now, I think that is a question of faith. It's a question of faith in the Prabhupada's words and the previous acharyas and the shastras and the actual.
If you're sincere and you have faith, okay, I agree with you. If you're sincere and you have faith, then Krishna will reward you. And his reward is he will send you a bona fide spiritual master. That is, Prabhupada says, Krishna's first installment of mercy for that sincere soul who is crying to the Lord that you sincerely, seriously want to surrender and serve Krishna. Krishna will reward you by sending you bona fide guru. And under that guidance, then we'll be able to purify the false ego and the pride and the arrogance and all of this demoniac thoughts and qualities, so that the more pure we become, then automatically these more saintly, godly qualities will come out, will be more manifested. Then we can properly chant. That's why without Shravanam, from Krishna through the Guru to the Shastra, without proper hearing, there's not sufficient purification of the consciousness, there's not sufficient faith, because we can't hear Krishna properly. So if we get purified, the more Krishna reveals himself, the more faith and intelligence we can get in understanding about how to chant Hare Krishna Mahamantra. Yeah.
Someone has really to, as you said yesterday, to be greedy.
To be what?
You have to be greedy.
Greedy,
Yeah.
yes. You have to be greedy to go out from this situation, painful situation.
To solve the
You have to
problem.
realize that we are living in a painful situation. I can't tolerate anymore this position.
Yes.
But the problem is, Maya has everyone so nicely covered over. Because the potency of Maya, Prabhupada says the two potencies. One is she covers you over so nicely and makes you think you're fine and even happy. And then the second potency is she just drags you away from pure bhakti. So she has a covering potency and a dragging potency. So hardly anybody is interested, Prabhupada said, because Maya is so heavily covering them and bewildering them and making them think they don't have a problem. They are already happy, more or less, right? And then she just dragging, I know Krishna says like this and Prabhupada says like this, but you don't have to do that. That's not required for you, right? So all of Maya is like less and less satsanga, less and less proper hearing and chanting, less and less spiritual medicine, and then once again, then we become contaminated by asatsanga, consciousness gets covered over again, then we lose our determination, faith and strength, determination to execute devotional service, and then we're once again put in a weakened condition because of our being prone to asatsanga. and prone to material sound vibration and material topics, and then instead of purifying the consciousness, we're contaminating the consciousness. Instead of elevating the consciousness, where you're intelligent and saying, I'm suffering and I want to get out of the suffering, so let me take to that solution. Instead, because of low consciousness, we don't even perceive our suffering. So if you don't perceive your suffering condition, and you're alright, and you feel yourself nicely situated, there's no question of being greedy for a spiritual solution. Yeah.
Right.
Did I say alright? I did alright?
Yes, yes.
You must have been praying for me. So you realize, by what he's saying, he realized, I don't want to suffer like this anymore. This is intolerable. Just like Arjuna. This is intolerable situation. That means his consciousness and intelligence is elevated enough for him to understand honestly and objectively what is the suffering that comes under Maya's heavy lashes. And then Prabhupada said, then if you're really intelligent, not only will you realize that, but you'll look for a legitimate, practical solution. That is Krishna consciousness. Then you'll take serious the process of Krishna consciousness.
Yes, I think I have not any merit. I think that I have not any merit.
No merit?
Merit.
Yes,
Merit?
no merit is
No what?
the grace of the Lord that
He says, I don't really deserve it, but it's by the grace of the Lord.
Yes.
Just take it, man, you know? Just go for it. You know, if you're getting causeless mercy, you know, it's foolish to say, well, I don't really deserve it, you know? It's like you're in a deep dark well drowning, and then someone somehow just puts down a rope, and then you're just like, you know, I don't really deserve to grab that rope, you know? I'm so fallen, you know, I don't deserve it. Okay, die then. Die. Right? You just grab it, you know? Just grab it and say, okay, somehow some causeless mercy came to me. I'm gonna just be greedy and desperate enough to just grab it. I don't know where I'm going, but I know where I don't want to be. That I figured out. It can't be any worse, right? It's got to be better than where I was. Okay, I don't even care where I go. If you can just get me out of that situation, it's all positive. It's all positive integers after that. And then once you're getting nice reciprocation and it's like, wow, this is really amazing, this is really cool, this is really a gift, then you'll be grateful, you'll be appreciative that somehow Krishna and Krishna devotee showered some causeless mercy. Somehow, it would be humbling. It's not we did anything, right? I mean, you could say the only thing we did was cried to God in our worst suffering condition to somehow shower causeless mercy on us and save us. That's really the only thing most of us did right. And Bhaktivinoda Thakur, in his songs, he said, Krishna Mahaprabhu, you are the savior of the fallen souls. You have come here to save the fallen, conditioned souls. Well, I am one of those fallen, conditioned souls. So I'm playing my part. I'm playing my part. Okay, I accept. I'm one of those. Now, I'm just begging mercy that you decide to pick me up. But my Gurudev used to say, but if you're proud and you think you're already nicely situated, you will not be able to cry for mercy. Because Prabhupada said, you don't think you have a problem. If you don't think you have a problem, why will you be eager and greedy to hear a solution? That's why all the preachers, what they're doing is, they're first getting us to realize how much trouble we're actually in. Because you can't give the solution to people who don't think they need a solution. So they're all describing what is material world, what does it mean to suffer because we're not surrendering to Krishna, right? So they're painting the reality of our situation until we get purified enough and intelligent enough to realize, wait a second, that's me. That's how I'm feeling. That's how disturbed I am. That's how much I'm suffering. That's how much I'm disappointed. That's how much my heart has been broken in the material world. That's how many times I've been cheated by Maya. Now I gotta get out of this situation. This is unacceptable. Then we'll be like all ears. Okay, please, tell me. Right? We're Maya covering us over, big, nice, thick rug of false ego. Not even a sheet or a blanket, like a rug, tamagun. And she, yeah, we're fine. We're fine. I'm happy. Could be worse. I solved some of my other major problems. Now I'm nicely situated. Right? So if you already solved all your major problems and you feel nicely situated, where is your eagerness and greediness to know the absolute truth? Yeah.
Alright, you know when you get initiation, you have some faith.
Thank you, Peter.
Thank you, Krishna. Thank you, Peter.
When we take initiation, we have some faith. We surrender to that particular guru. But then when we surrender to that guru and we give our life to that guru, then you get so disappointed. And then, you know, when you get initiation, they say, oh, all your sins is disappear. You know, you have no more sins, so don't get no fresh sins, all disappear. But then you find out, my God.
It didn't disappear.
No, it didn't disappear. I still got all the nardas and everything that I came with. So what is that situation? How to actually maneuver that and change that?
See, what happens is Prabhupada says you judge the thing by the result. So you were thinking, I'm surrendering to bona fide guru in Krishna Parampara, and I'm going to try my best to surrender, follow the instructions. So you did all of that, right? You tried. So now you see, okay, what are my results? What are the results? So when you see the results are not really working, they're not really manifesting in a convincing way, of course you're going to say it's not working. Now if it's not working, always we should say, well, have I misunderstood something? Am I not faithfully executing as it is? Right? We should always be checking on ourselves, doing inventory on ourselves, right? We should always feel like I can do better, I can improve, right? But then also, if you say, well, no, I really believe and have faith that I'm being sincere and serious to Krishna. And I have so many doubts now, and every time I ask the Guru my question or I share my doubts, like Arjuna, he had so many doubts, he put before his spiritual master. Prabhupada said it's the responsibility of the Guru to destroy your doubts. So it's your responsibility as disciple to bring your doubts before the spiritual master. That's your responsibility, and it's his responsibility to destroy the doubt. So if you bring your doubt, you have to give him opportunity by sharing your doubt, and then it's the Guru's responsibility to destroy the doubt. And can he destroy the doubt is the question. Now this is after the fact that we're saying like this. But actually, if Krishna gave you intelligence and faith to understand Guru Tattva properly, he would have sent you a bona fide spiritual master from the beginning who could answer your questions according to Guru, Sadhu and Shastra and automatically, spontaneously answer your questions and destroy your doubts. That's a better way. But because we didn't know all of that, you can't follow something you don't know. So then later it's not working, and then naturally you'll say, why it's not working? Okay, maybe it's me. But Prabhupada said, the speaker must be authorized and empowered, and the person who's hearing, disciple, must also be qualified and authorized. Then it will work. So if it's not working, it can only mean one of two things. It's either him, or three things. It's either him, or it's me, or it's combination. So either he's not qualified, and therefore I'm not benefited, or I'm not qualified, therefore I'm not benefited, or neither of us is qualified, therefore neither of us are being benefited. That's the only thing you can be left with when you take the results. Now this is like the back way of coming to the same conclusion, judging the thing by the results, right? But if we start from the beginning, understanding how to convince Krishna that of our sincerity and seriousness to surrender to Krishna. And the problem is that when we get a guru, we think, well, I got cheated. Some may think, I got cheated, I was sincere. One devotee I was preaching to in Europe, he was saying, I was so sincere, I was so I want to surrender to Krishna, but somehow I got cheated by getting wrong guru. Then he fell down, he left, and then I accepted another guru, and then he's also not, I have no faith in him, so I got cheated again. So then I started saying, well, why would Krishna cheat you if you're so sincere and you're so serious? And I said, you got cheated, you accept that you got cheated twice, right? And he said, yes. And I said, and you also think that you're completely sincere and serious, right? And he said, yes. So I said, so if you're so sincere and serious, why would you get cheated? Doesn't that make you question your assumption? And then he said, actually, then he finally came out and said, actually, this is my doubt. This is my doubt. So it created doubts in him. Doubts in Krishna, doubts in the process, doubts in the Guru, doubts in himself. It just creates all the different doubts because he doesn't have the right understanding and the right philosophical, spiritual science.
So then we need right training. So then we need right training from the beginning.
Right.
That's what you're saying.
But where was the training?
In Atlanta, Georgia.
If you ask most devotees, they said, oh, you've been in ISKCON for 6 months or 1 year. You need a guru. You got to pick a guru. And then you're like, oh, I know, okay, no problem. but not appeared yet. No, no, no. If you want to serve here, you want to live here, you know, because if you're not accepting our guru, that means you think there's a problem with our guru. Therefore, we're questioning you that you have doubts in our guru.
Zonal too. Zonal.
So if you want to associate with us, you've been here long enough to realize that he's a pure devotee. So you should accept him. And you're not accepting him means that you can't be trusted.
Yeah.
Right? So they put such a peer pressure on you. Such ecclesiastical peer pressure. It forces you. Sometimes it's like that. And sometimes everyone around you says, oh, he's pure devotee, he's pure devotee, he's pure devotee. And then my Gurudev would say, well, did you ever stop to think whether he's actually pure devotee or not? Oh, they said he was a pure devotee. The GBC gave him a stamp, said he's a guru. Okay, he got a stamp, everyone said he's pure devotee. But did you ever ask Krishna whether it's true or not? Did you ever depend on Krishna to give you intelligence and faith, whether it's real or not? So you're foolish. You just blindly accepted it, therefore you got cheated. Maya cheated you. So this devotee was thinking, I have to be more cautious now. I have to be more doubtful, more cautious, more intelligent. That's how he reasoned out that after I got cheated twice, that it's just I wasn't intelligent enough, I wasn't careful enough, I wasn't suspicious enough, I wasn't, you know, calculating enough, right? I was just being blind, following. And my question was, that if you're a material consciousness, and you have false ego, and pride, an imperfect mind, intelligence, and senses, you can be as cautious as you want to be, but your intelligence is faulty. Your senses are faulty because you're not depending on Krishna. You're depending on Maya. And he couldn't understand it.
But can we judge? We can judge from the person languages they speak. Sometimes they because if they're talking a lot about Krishna, it could be a pure devotee.
We can tell by the person's language, the way they're talking, that it could be a pure devotee.
And the service attitude.
Yeah, but everybody's saying Krishna, 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 mostly, right? Many of them are quoting Prabhupada's books and teachings and talking about Krishna, right? But is it realized knowledge? Or is it theoretical knowledge? This is question. So if there's no, if you are sincerely open-hearted, surrendered, and submissively hearing, then you should see by the results. If you're hearing from right source and Krishna's present there, then Krishna, by his mercy, you'll get a certain type of result. If you're surrendering and submissive and open-hearted, open-minded, and they're saying Krishna, 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 but nothing is changing, that means there's some problem. Now the problem could be you, or the speaker, or both. That's why not knowing that, not being the perfect judge of that, we have to go to Krishna. I don't know if I'm sincere or serious or not. I think I am. Krishna, you're the witness and the judge. All I can do is try to be as convinced as I possibly can be. And I guess until Krishna reveals himself, that's when we'll know. And until he reveals himself inside and out, that means we're not convinced enough to convince Krishna. Prabhupada said you judge by the result. So Krishna makes an arrangement, gives you intelligence and faith to meet a bona fide guru, and manifests and speaks there through that guru, and you get the effect of that hearing process, then I guess that means you were pretty sincere. Otherwise, why Krishna revealed himself to you? And if he's not revealing, that means we're not convinced enough to convince Krishna. So you have to keep trying. Now, how much suffering, how many times being cheated, how many times being bewildered, is it enough to seriously more cry towards Krishna? That's the question. That's my understanding. So until you get the result, why you should stop? So that's what the Shastra says. That's what the Charyas say. That's what I did. That's what I got. That's what I realized. That's why I have that kind of faith in that process. Because I practically went through that. I practically realized that. So my Gurudev said this, Guru Tattva, Paramatma Tattva is very difficult to understand. It actually means Krishna is revealing himself to you. So, but until that happens to you, by Krishna's mercy, Gurudev's mercy, nobody can understand it. So until that happens to you, it means we have not convinced Krishna of our sincerity and seriousness. Bottom line. That's up to Krishna. We can say, well, I think I'm surrendered enough. I think I'm sincere enough. That's not up to us. I think I've done enough service. I think I'm sincere enough. I think my desire to surrender should be sufficient enough that Krishna should reciprocate. But that's not our calculation. That's Krishna's calculation. What is the quality and the quantity of your desire and activity of surrender? That's up to Krishna to determine. And until he gives us those results, we should understand clearly that we have not met the prerequisite requirement. That means there's a problem with us. And those who do meet that, then Krishna sends them to a bona fide spiritual master, and you'll understand it and you'll surrender there immediately, promptly.
You mentioned a couple of days ago that we cannot serve the Lord with false ego, because the false ego block everything.
You mentioned a few days ago that we can't serve the Lord when we're in false ego, because it blocks everything.
But we're sentimental means false ego. And we think we're doing nicely. Sentimentally. Oh, I'm offering with loving devotion. Okay. If it's real and not sentimental or materially emotional, then Krishna should reward you. The problem is when we think it's real and we're not getting rewarded. That's where the problem comes. That's what I was referring to earlier. If we think, I'm sincere, I'm surrendered, but then Krishna's not rewarding or reciprocating or not revealing, then you're going to be like, wow, how's it like this? This doesn't make sense. What do I have to do? It doesn't really work. Now I'm like shaky in my faith. Because I can't do anything more than that. We've brought ourselves to what we consider to be our maximum. But yet the result's still not coming. But without mercy of Guru and Krishna, we've not even understood how to bring to the maximum. We've just maybe maximized our material false ego platform or sentimental platform. We've maybe maxed out on that platform.
Yeah.
But that platform is material. We need to go beyond that platform. But without mercy of Guru and Krishna, how do you get on the other side of that? And that's like a wide open, unlimited platform. That's why Prabhupada was saying in this first sentence that what is it? Arjuna was not the supreme knower, and his decision to fight or not to fight was confined to his limited material discretion. So you're inside of a box. So you maxed out your box of three-dimensional consciousness. But we have to go fourth dimension, beyond the box. So whatever decisions he was making was within this box of limited material discretion. And all of the understanding and dynamic and intelligence is all coming from Maya. So if that's all you know, then how can you act beyond that? So without mercy of Guru and Krishna, only they can bring us in out of that box. That's why Prabhupada said the other day that the soul, it just wants to get free and move beyond this body and the limited mind and false ego, and it wants to just go out into the unlimited spiritual relationship and energy and atmosphere. That's the need of the soul. So we're inside of this box, and Maya's like, yeah, you can be happy in here. Yeah. You just didn't, you gotta go up in the far right corner of this box. You've never seen that before. Right? So we just keep looking inside of this little box, and we're like, wow, this looks real familiar, you know? I feel like I've been here before. Same old song and a dance, you know? So it's more or less the same stuff. And then after a while it gets really narrow and boring, and you're just chewing the chewed, you know, trying to find some. And then that's why people do drugs. Because they just, okay, I want to expand my consciousness beyond this limited, narrow, conventional, materialistic way of thinking. And then you get some different experience, but then you find out you're just in the lower corner of the same box. And the most amazing thing is, Maya will make you feel like you're in a special place. This is very unique. Nobody's ever seen this before. No one's ever been here. It's like a secret room within the room. But it's all within the same box. It's all limited. It's all tamagun. It's all mental speculation and, you know, mental meltdown. Mental meltdown. You see all these artists, all these musicians, right? They start off, they're young and energy and creative and artistic, right? Then you see these people at the end of their life. Jerry Garcia, all these people, right? Big, heavy-duty drug addicts, all die a miserable death. All they're chasing after is fun. But what is the end result? They die like horrible, horrible deaths. So, okay, you're special and you had a special place inside of the box. And then Maya says, no, you're out of this box. You're floating out into the stratospheres of consciousness. So until you transcend that box, all you know is that box. It's like the what is it, like the frog in the well? He's swimming around inside of the well, the frog. And then somebody tells about the Pacific Ocean. And all you know is the size of your water in your little dark, deep well. And then they start, isn't it, I'm not a good storyteller, but basically the frog is like, is it bigger than this water? Oh yeah, much bigger. And then he's like, he puffs himself up a little bit. Is it like this big? He said, no, it's much bigger than that. Then he more puffs himself up. Is it like this big? No, much bigger than that. And then the frog just blows up. We're maxing out. We're maxing out our material potential. Well, like this other one, the guy's in the cave, right? I think, right? And there's like one candle or something like that. And all he knows is just this one little light. You know, he doesn't understand that there's sunshine outside because he's only seeing one little light. So if someone doesn't come and bring you outside, then all you'll know is your little limited light. So only Krishna's mercy, Krishna's devotee mercy can bring us into a fourth dimensional, transcendental, into the light, with the sun. Krishna's like the sun. Even George Harrison, you know, he wrote, Here Comes the Sun. Here comes the sun, right? What does he said? It's like Krishna. He said when you're chanting Hare Krishna, Mahamantra, and Krishna comes, like the sunshine comes into your window and it comes into your room. So he compared chanting like Krishna's like the sun, is just coming into your life, into your consciousness, into your experience. There comes the sun. So we're very narrow. We think we're already understand. That's why when people say, oh, I am knowing everything, it's like a madness. Madness. Complete insanity. We are knowing very little. Even three-dimensionally we know very little. What to speak of fourth-dimensionally? We haven't even tapped it. We're just beginning to be curious. Many times my Gurudev was talking about Goloka Vrindavan. You talk about expanding your consciousness. He's talking about, you know, Krishna, Srimati Radharani, all the devotees, all of their activities and how they're moving and talking and discussing related to Krishna. He would just transport you to another state of consciousness and understanding and being. Because that's where he was at. And he was saying, I'm just touching on it, just to let you know that there's something way beyond where you're at and what you think you know. I'm just trying to attract you to what is the goal. And then we would sit and he's talking about Srimati Radharani and the gopis and Krishna, and it's like, this is transcendental personality. They're coming from that place. So if Krishna and Krishna's devotee like Prabhupada, Gurudev, they don't come here, what access do we have there? We can know nothing about that place. then we would get like a little proud. Whoa, we must be advanced, because otherwise why our Maharaj is speaking some high topic with us. Then we got like a little proud. And then we would say to Gurudev, one day we said, now Gurudev, now what should we do? And then Gurudev would like kind of come out of his trance, meditation, and then he would see us standing there, you know. And he said, oh, for you people, just read the Bhagavad Gita. Try to realize you're not your body, you know. But he was just trying to attract us that there's so much more there to make you like, wow, you know, this is something really worth to go for, to understand it. Otherwise, we're very limited. Just trying to get out of a hellish condition, that's not enough. It's smart, it's required, but we also need to be attracted by Krishna, Krishna's devotees, some higher, interesting, transcendental personalities, activities, realization. Prabhupada said this is on the positive side. It's not just not this, not that, not this, not that. That's not enough. It says if you come to bhakti, automatically you give up not this, not that. Because it's inferior. We need something more superior. Then automatically you'll give up the lower thing. Right now, all we know is material happiness. So like, okay, I didn't get any spiritual happiness, so all I know is eating stool, so let me go back to eating the stool of the material happiness. But it doesn't work. So we need spiritual happiness. We need a spiritual experience. When I would listen to many Maharajas and many lectures and many gurus, I could see many of them were trying to be sincere and trying to be helpful. I never questioned that for most of them, for a lot of them. But my soul was not satisfied. No disrespect. Just like we read other day, right? When you're completely satisfied with your knowledge and with your realization and your reciprocation, fully satisfied, that means Krishna is fully satisfied. So if you're hearing from persons where Krishna is not fully satisfied, how you'll be fully satisfied? And I used to walk around and I'd be like, you know, I don't feel any shelter and protection. I'm sorry. If you're happy and that's working for you, I wish you the best. But it's not working for me. So I just depend on Prabhupada, because I know he's Premi Bhakta, I know he's Nitya Siddha, Mahabhagavata, I know he's from Krishna Loka, Goloka Vrindavan, no doubt about it. And if Prabhupada sees that there's someone else who can help me, then he'll make that arrangement. So I feel that I have two gurus. I have Srila Prabhupada, and I have my spiritual master, Srila Govinda Swami. And because of Srila Govinda Swami, my Gurudev, I got so much more faith and understanding in Srila Prabhupada. I had, but not like my Guru had. So he was able to share his faith and his understanding of Srila Prabhupada and his life and his personality and his spiritual position and his books and his teachings. He had so full, deep level of understanding and faith, way beyond, way beyond me. So by hearing from him, that's how I was able to increase my understanding and my faith, and also my understanding of Prabhupada's teachings. Because my Guru trained me how to understand it, how to see it, how to realize it. So I always feel like I got Krishna's mercy because I got two such nice gurus, Srila Prabhupada, Srila Govinda Swami. That's a perfect embankment, both sides. And this way we're able to flow, protected on both sides. And I didn't know I needed a guru, because Prabhupada is such a topmost guru, Premi Bhakta, Nitya Siddha. But my Gurudev said, you see, Prabhupada is like Krishna in one sense that he's with Krishna in his unmanifested form. So you can't see Prabhupada, you can't hear Prabhupada. Prabhupada's not able to instruct you. I'll tell you one pastime. One of my godbrothers, he told me this pastime. One time, one Prabhupada disciple, I don't want to mention his name, he came to Srila Prabhupada. And he came to Srila Govinda Swami. And he said, Maharaj, Srila Govinda Maharaj, he said, I'm so unfortunate because although I'm Prabhupada's disciple, I never got instruction from Prabhupada, specifically what he wants me to do. And Prabhupada says that to make the instruction of your guru, your life and your soul is perfection, is how. How does it say? Is the secret of success. To make the instructions of your spiritual master, your life and soul is the secret of success in spiritual life. So he said to Srila Govinda Maharaj, you're my godbrother, you're very dear to Srila Prabhupada. I'm so unfortunate because I never got this instruction from Srila Prabhupada. And then my godbrother, he was servant, he said, then Srila Govinda Maharaj, he said, okay, we'll pray to Prabhupada. And he said something like, we'll talk to each other after 2 weeks. And then we'll pray to Prabhupada to find out. And then Gurudev immediately, he stopped. And then he said, Srila Prabhupada, he wants you to do this, that. Immediately he told him exactly what Prabhupada wanted his disciple to do. And that Prabhupada disciple immediately became ecstatic because Krishna and Prabhupada, who he has so much faith, love and affection for, Prabhupada immediately gave him faith and intelligence to understand that instruction was coming from Prabhupada. And he immediately accepted that instruction. And I've had other Prabhupada disciples also said definitely Prabhupada was manifesting and speaking and instructing me through the personality of Srila Govinda Swami. That means pure by your medium of Krishna and Krishna Parampara. Both. So that was a nice, interesting. And that devotee is so smart because other devotees may say, oh, I had a glance of Prabhupada. Okay, that's nice, you got a glance of Prabhupada. But if Prabhupada doesn't tell you exactly what is your seva, then how will you hear it? Where will you hear it from? And if Prabhupada wants to chastise you or punish you or correct you, how will you realize that? How will you hear that? So therefore, Prabhupada said that Guru Krishna always manifested. Krishna Parampara is always manifested in the present, in the present. But Prabhupada said, but you have to be smart enough to catch up that disciplic succession. Because Krishna only speaks through his disciplic succession. So there's only one question. If you really want to hear Krishna, is Krishna, who is your own man? Who are you manifesting and speaking through? I don't know who are these people. But you know. So if you can kindly make an arrangement, give me intelligence and faith, then I can nicely hear you manifesting through your representative. So is Krishna has he given us that opportunity? Has he revealed to us that manifestation and revelation from Krishna through pure by a medium of Guru? If you can truly realize that with unflinching faith, that means Krishna reveals himself to you, inside and outside. That is that person's qualification. And to just say it theoretically is not enough. That will not convince anybody. It must be practically realized. And sometimes devotees will say, oh, Murali, you're speaking some other thing. I said, no, everything I said to one GBC chairman, he said, oh, I said, Mara, what's the problem? I'm quoting Srila Prabhupada, Guru Sadhu and Shastra. And he said, yes, Murali, we're also quoting Prabhupada. But the problem is, you're not quoting what we're quoting. So he's not even telling that you're not quoting Prabhupada. Yes, you're quoting Prabhupada, but you're not quoting what we're quoting. That's your problem. And the other GBC said, yes, Murali, you're quoting Guru Sadhu and Shastra. No doubt. But we're also quoting Guru Sadhu and Shastra. But the problem with you, Murali, is when you quote Guru Sadhu and Shastra, people want to come and hear from you instead of us. So I don't know if he was giving me a compliment or I took it like, well, if we're both speaking Guru Sadhu and Shastra and they'd rather hear from me than you, doesn't that mean maybe I'm doing a little better, Maharaj? And then sometimes they say, oh, he's speaking deviated way. And then devotees say, yeah, but he's quoting Prabhupada, Guru Sadhu Shastra, nicely explaining it, simple way. And then they say, what is he saying that we're not saying? We're saying the same thing. Why does he think he's saying something different or special? So what is it, Maharaj? Am I deviated? Or are we all speaking the same thing? And if we're all speaking the same thing, why I can't find any class, any book, any lecture, any darshan, anywhere that you're speaking on this topic like this? If we're all speaking the same thing, I heard hundreds, thousands of your classes. Why none of you spoke on these topics? Show me where are you speaking with realization on this topic. And they cannot say. They cannot do. The only one who spoke with realization on this topic was my Gurudev, Srila Gaur Govinda Swami. And he showed where all of those instructions and that science of Guru Tattva is in Prabhupada's books and teachings. He opened it up. He let us see it, understand it, taste it, feel it, realize it. And no one else can speak like my Guru. No way. Their problem is they want me to say that they're all on the same platform. And I refuse to say that. If I would just say that, then they would give me post, position, everything in ISKCON. But because I cannot say that, because it's not true. They're not on the same platform. Not even close. Not even close. Heaven and hell difference. Therefore, I'm outsider. I'm not acceptable to them. One time, one guru, GBC, I heard that he was very nice to Srila Govinda Swami when he came to New York City. I think for Rath Yatra or something like that. Maybe not Rath Yatra, but he came to New York. And I heard that this Maharaj, he was very respectful and humble and treated my Gurudev as nice, exalted Vaishnava. So when I saw that Maharaj, I considered him to be friendly, like friend of mine. So I said, Maharaj, I heard that you so nicely were treating Srila Govinda Swami. You were showing so much nice Vaishnava behavior and qualities and glorification, seva. I was glorifying this Maharaj. And then he started screaming, yelling at me. And I was like completely like bewildered. I'm thinking he will appreciate my appreciation of him. And he started saying, this is the problem with you people. You think your guru is more advanced than we are. And I was like, oh, it was so painful because I thought he was my friend. I thought he was behaving like nice Vaishnava. I was trying to glorify him. And he proved to me what is his mentality. And that was so disappointing to me. Because actually it was just an act. It was just the Indian politics, it was just drama. It wasn't with love and faith. It was envious, jealous. They're feeling something less because you're glorifying a more exalted Vaishnava. Why you're so insecure? This is problem, Murali, is you think your guru is more advanced than we are. And even some of them told me, we don't mind that you know that Govinda Maharaj is more advanced than we are. But our problem with you, Murali, is you're telling everybody that. This is problem. If you will just say we're all on the same platform, you can nicely move in this institution. And I said, I'm sorry, I cannot lie like this. Because I heard all of your lectures, almost all of your lectures. I read all of your books. I heard all of your classes in Mayapur, in other countries, in America, almost all of them. And none of them, I'll tell you this, all of them together could not do what Srila Govinda Swami could do in one sentence. How's that? Combine all of them together and let them preach for 3 months to me. And they could not do what Srila Govinda Swami could do in one sentence. And that sentence was, Murali, ISKCON is Mahaprabhu's movement. And before that, after everything I went through, I was so disappointed. And in one sentence, Maharaj completely instilled in me the faith that ISKCON is Mahaprabhu's movement. And after all of these years, I'm still here in ISKCON in spite of complete opposition against me, collectively. Still, I don't leave ISKCON. And this is their problem. They say, just go start your own movement. You know, that would be easier for them. Oh yeah, he left, he started his own movement, he's on a trip, you know, he thinks he's a guru, he thinks he's a, you know, parampara, right? He's a crazy guy, right? But what do? I said, no, I'm a member of ISKCON, because ISKCON is Mahaprabhu's movement, and Srila Prabhupada told me never leave ISKCON, and Srila Govinda Swami, who's disciple of Srila Prabhupada, told me never to leave ISKCON. So I will never leave ISKCON. I don't care if you like it or you don't like it. And that's a problem for them. That's a big problem for them. And what am I? I'm preaching Bhagavad Gita as it is, Prabhupada, as it is. Isn't it? What's the problem? Even one devotee, he showed me one internal communication they were having with the GDC. And they had a committee, and they were trying to analyze me. And they were having a discussion like, what do we do with this guy? And one of the persons who was part of that internal communication, he was showing me everything. Because he knows me very, very well. And they were saying, yes, we're studying his lectures, and you know, we're seeing his kirtan, and we're seeing how fired up his devotees are, and how dedicated they are to book distribution and preaching and a mission. Mahaprabhu, Prabhupada, everything is Prabhupada, Prabhupada, Prabhupada. Confirmation. And then one of the devotees is saying, you know, I don't see anything he's saying or doing that is separate from what Prabhupada asked us to do. I don't understand what his problem. Look at the results he's getting there. Everything is by the book, Prabhupada as it is. Nothing added, nothing subtracted. Only problem is I'll not say they're all on the same platform as my guru. And because I know from my guru, Prabhupada's books and teachings, and I'm presenting it with no compromise, they're saying you're not quoting what we're quoting. That's the problem, Murali. And when you preach, people leave their gurus and want to come to you. That's the problem, Murali. So, life goes on. We, day by day, we try our best to stay faithful, loyal to Prabhupada institution, Mahaprabhu's institution. And we help those who came to Prabhupada's movement because of Prabhupada's books. And we just keep trying to explain it as it is. And Prabhupada's sending us those devotees. Maharaj, you had your chance. You couldn't convince them. You couldn't give them shelter and protection. You couldn't answer their questions. You couldn't destroy their doubts. They had no faith in you, Maharaj. It's not that I destroyed their faith. They never had any faith in you. That's your fault, Maharaj. That's not my fault. They're just being honest about it now. And you're having a tough time digesting that fact because of your false ego and your attachment to pranam and pranami, pratishta. That's the problem. And they say, oh, but you're not being humble. Speaking the truth means humble. When Prabhupada's talking about, these people are rascals and take your boot and kick them in the face for being so rascal, is Prabhupada not being humble? So what is humble? I just blindly, submissively accept you as a pure devotee and just put the stamp, sign the oath of allegiance to the ultimate managing authority. The ultimate managing authority. Where did Prabhupada say to do that? Let's talk about what Prabhupada said about GBC. What are they supposed to be? What are they supposed to do? Right? Sannyasis are not supposed to be GBC. Sannyasis are supposed to be traveling and preaching, going temple to temple, inspiring the troops. They're not supposed to sit in one place and create power politics. Prabhupada never said centralize everything and make. He said don't do that because it'll make power politics. What do? They sit in one place and make power politics. The sannyasis. So they're not understanding and following Prabhupada's books and teachings. They're actually changing Prabhupada's books and teachings to fit their narrative. Anyway, I don't want to get into that whole topic right now.
Maharaj, could a
I think
sannyasi
the point
drink
is made, isn't it? Yes.
Can a sannyasi drink non-alcoholic beer?
Huh?
Can a sannyasi drink non-alcoholic beer?
Can you drink non-alcoholic beer? I plead the fifth. I plead the fifth. No. But it only has 0.15 alcohol in it. It's not non-alcoholic. Right?
I saw this.
It has 0.5. It's almost like nothing. It's almost like water. Right? Just be honest what it is. Yes or no?
It's a beer.
I remember I got in trouble in one temple because one person was saying, my guru says I can offer onions and garlic to the picture of the deities, but not directly to the deities. And I said something like, what kind of guru would tell you? I was so shocked and disgusted, and it came out because I have a tough time hiding my true feelings, It's one of my problems, I said, what kind of a guru would tell you that you can offer garlic and onions to the picture of the deities, but not to the deities? This is complete nonsense. And then this person, he offended my guru. I lost faith in my guru. If he's telling you to offer onions and garlic to the picture of the deity, I don't blame you for losing faith in your guru. I'm not the one who told you to do that. It's not my fault. I just asked a provocative question. What kind of a guru? Maybe it had a little flavor to it or something. But I was shocked. One person, they were psychologists, right? ISKCON psychologists. I remember one guru, there was one guy from Orissa, and he was a Ghostbuster. His name Chiteshwar. He would like de-ghost people for money. And then he would go around to the ISKCON temples and he would just do sessions to get rid of people's ghosts, you know. And sometimes the gurus would go just to get rid of like few ghosts, you know. I'm like, if you're chanting pure holy name, what ghosts are gonna come there, Maharaj, you know? I'm trying to preach nicely, but I got a few ghosts, you know. Can I just get a few of those guys out of there so I can have a little more purity while I'm preaching, you know? This is nonsense. Madness. And then they say, you say, Guru Maharaj, can you talk to us about Guru Tattva? And they said, well, right now, they're discussing that in the Shastric Advisory Committee. And they're researching what is Guru Tattva. And there's some debate, there's some argument, there's some research work going on. But once they finally come out with a paper, then I'll be able to explain it to you. And then they come out with the paper, right? And then later they say, oh, there was some mistakes in that paper, so just, you know, throw that copy away. Now we've made some adjustments. We did some political discussion, we took a vote, so now we changed the presentation, words, philosophy, right? That's not how you understand absolute truth. It's not by philosophical, academic research work. It's coming from Krishna through the heart and the mouth of bona fide, pure devotee of Krishna. That's how the absolute truth is established. And then you're all arguing about what is the absolute truth and you're disagreeing. Prabhupada said the absolute truth is one. It's not even two. So they're all arguing about what is the truth and disagreeing, arguing, and then finally they're voting on it? And whoever wins the vote, that's the absolute truth? What is this? It's a madness. Cheating. I don't know why they don't like me. Why they're not rolling out the red carpet for me?
Because you speak truth. Tell them get red carpet.
So, you know, this, if you want to win a popularity contest, I'm certainly not doing it in the right way. But my Gurudev said, you preach boldly, fearlessly, do not hesitate, and do not compromise the truth.
Jai.
No compromise. As it is, Prabhupada said.
Jai.
So that's what we're trying to do. Some people will like it, and most people won't. And that's understood. Because Prabhupada said hardly anybody's really interested in going back to Godhead. But for those who are, then Krishna will give all intelligence and understanding how to do it. That's who we heard from. That's what we're trying to share with you. And you pray to Krishna whether what I'm speaking is true or not true. Krishna will tell you. If you're a seeker of the truth, Krishna will tell you, definitely. We're not here to flatter you. We're not trying to win a popularity contest. We're not speaking so that we can get a post or position within a religious institution. If you're doing like that, you cannot be a speaker of the absolute truth. Impossible. You'll be more concerned with your position, your power, your money, your followers, your zones, your buildings, your reputation. That's what they're running after. And if there's somebody that's really not like that, I haven't met them yet. Except Srila Gaura Govinda Swami. So far. If they're hearing this lecture and they're out there and they're really pure devotee of Prabhupada and Krishna, I'd love to meet you and discuss everything. I'd be happy to have nice association. Until then, we just have to carry on and find sincere, simple souls who are attracted to the truth, absolute truth, and try to be in their association and discuss that same thing that we also need to hear again and again and again and again. So thank you everyone very much, I appreciate it. Shishi Gorni Thai ki, Srila Prabhupada ki, Srila Gaura Govinda Swami, Srila Gurudeva ki, Samaveda Bhakta Vrinda ki, Gaura Premanande, Hari Hari Bol.
Haribol! Haribol!
Actually, just coming to me.
This type of preaching is not good for Krishna.